that's tuning in, if you're watching it later on and not watching it live, I'll be getting started in just a second. As soon as I get some people to hop on here, I'll get started. Today's topic is intelligent spirits and hauntings. Tonight's Facebook Live on the Antietam Paranormal Society page. For any of you that are watching this, I'm Rebecca Boyer. I'm the co-founder and case manager of Antietam Paranormal Society. Hi, Sharon! So, Sharon, can you tell? Does my face look thinner? I'm just going to wait for some people to hop on. The weather's beautiful outside. I should have done the live outside instead of in here in this dungeon of a room. It's a good night. Good night to talk about ghosts. This weekend, we are headed to the warehouse, which is located in Pennsylvania. Once again, we're not allowed to disclose where exactly the location is. It is a business, and it's a very, very large building that has a bunch of warehouses all kind of built together. It's just enormous. It's a really, really big space. It's kind of like taking the Masonic temple that we used to do and putting each floor side by side instead of having it stacked on top of each other. But like I said, tonight's live, we're going to talk about intelligent spirits and hauntings. And anybody who is getting on here, feel free to ask questions, make comments, share this video. Sharing the video gives us a lot of exposure and can put a lot of information out there on Facebook. Right now, I think Sharon is the only one watching, but feel free to come on, say hello. I know later on, a lot of times, I don't see the comments for some reason. I don't know why Facebook... Hey, Chad! I don't know why Facebook doesn't allow me to see all the comments post, live. It doesn't make any sense to me. But if you have something that you would like us to know, suggestions, questions, private message us on the page. It works a lot easier. And it could also... it would put your topic then at the front if you are, in fact, trying to get us to talk about something specific. And hopefully in the future I'll have guests on here. I'm not entirely certain how to do that, but eventually I will. I'll have to test it out a couple times. Sharon and I will test it out because she's going to come on and we're going to discuss moving spirits on, doing cleansings, doing blessings, doing, any of that post-investigation stuff to help clients. Yeah. But like I said, any questions, feel free to just go ahead and plop them there in the comments, and I'll go over that. Mike, you're welcome to message the page. I will definitely respond as soon as I'm finished with this live. Just go ahead and private message the page. So, like I said, the APS crew is headed to the warehouse this weekend to do some more of our initial kind of documentation for further experiments that we're going to do for paranormal research in the building. It's a great place for us to kind of just do some experiments and tests So you'll have to watch out for that. We can share all of our information that we get. We just can't share where the location is. Anybody got any questions so far? I'll just get... All right, so tonight is Intelligent Spirits and Hauntings. Now, I mean, I don't have a lot of content already pre-set out for this because it's a pretty basic term for ghosts or spirits. You know, there's all the different types that people try to put into boxes, which I don't really like doing that. I mean, it's a good way to say something is interactive, but what really, when you get down to it, what really makes you know that a spirit is intelligent? That's like residual. I've always wondered, what if residuals just don't speak to you? What if they can't sense that you're there, can't respond to you? So intelligent spirits are definitely one that is more interesting to me because you can actually do a lot more research with them. If they respond to you, direct questions with an answer that definitely corresponds to whatever question you're asking. Besides for us doing investigations and getting responses like that, I would say if a homeowner contacted me, I would know that a spirit or a haunting was more intelligent if they were telling me that specific people in the house were the only ones that were targeted. Maybe they're trying to communicate, if they're moving things, if they respond to your comments. You know, upon occasion, if I've had things happen to my house and I've just told them, you know, leave me alone, and things stop happening, pretty good guess that it is an intelligent spirit that is in the house. So, you know, there's a lot of things that we can do to try to determine, besides for just making an educated guess that something is, in fact, intelligent. We use all types of equipment. So we have our EVP sessions where we ask the questions and get responses. Hey, Sarah. We have different types of, you know, ITC equipment. People use all different types of boxes these days in the attempt to get responses through the white noise with these types of radios. There's a lot of apps out there that people like to use. So really, if you think about it, almost everybody in the paranormal field is after doing research on intelligent hauntings, because no residual spirits are going to actually communicate. I'm sorry, I'm moving my light a little bit. It's blaring me in the face. No residual haunts or spirits are going to be able to communicate with you with that equipment. So, you know, we know for sure that a lot of us, that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get those responses. What else do we have? We have things like the REM pod, attempting them to answer your questions, or give you guidance based on, you know, manipulating that piece of equipment. K2 meters, the Boo Buddies, or other type of stuffed animals that are changed over to almost like a REM pod function. Let's see, we have the, you know, this is one thing that isn't really communication, so it's kind of a different thing these days, the SLS camera. That kind of straddles the line. Could residual haunts be actually visually seen like that? Possibly. So, you know, hi Tim. So that kind of is a little bit of a breakthrough if it actually isn't a false positive. I mean, I've seen and heard Kenny Biddle at our Harper's Ferry Paranormal Gathering. I asked him straight out, how do those things actually work? So he explained it to me how it was supposed to work for the gaming side. And then he translated that over into the paranormal side, showing how the potential of the false positives that could disprove what you're capturing with those cameras. So, you know, that's one of the things that I always advocate. If you're going to use this equipment, you need to know what false positives are, and you need to know when to just put the equipment down. Oh, did you? Now, did you get the original, or did you just get one of the, like the Arcam or spirit mapping, Chad. I'm going to be taking a lot of sips because I have a really dry throat today. But like I'm saying, you know, there's intelligent spirits are the ones that are going to be able to manipulate your equipment. They're the ones that, you know, people talk about EMF spiking with a spirit in the room, or, you know, they manipulate the EMF fields. So EM fields, it's all about these intelligent haunts. And, you know, a funny thing was the other day, somebody responded to a question on our page saying that they were specifically all about just helping the client. Well, at what point do we need to say to ourselves that, oh, you got it off David. Yeah, I'm not sure where he got, did he build his? He may have built his, Chad. I really feel like a lot of people miss the point in paranormal research. You have got to do your legwork. You have got to do your homework. You've got to learn things. You've got to experience things before you can actually go out there to help a client. Because there's too many cases where people get in over their heads, go into locations, and, you know, they sit down. They do what ghost hunters did on TV. They set up the cameras. They enjoy themselves while they're there. Maybe record some audio, get some really cool beeps and lights, but then when they get home, nothing happens with it. So with your client, you can't do that. You actually have to go out there, get the information, take it home, and really you're capturing your information has to be just in a specific way so that you know it's not false positives. You know that what you're getting is actually intelligent responses. You know that at the end of the day, you've gotten the correct data that can't be picked apart because you have information that backs it up. If anybody has any questions or has any comments about, like, this topic is really kind of, you know, it's a broad topic, but there's really not a lot to discuss about it. I mean, intelligent spirits do all sorts of things. Sorry, my phone's whistling. So, you know, I'd love to know what kind of things people would like to talk about having to do with intelligent spirits. My thing is, when you're going out to investigate, I would ask the same type of question in different ways periodically throughout the night. If you're trying to get a response from a specific, you know, you think it's a specific person that you're talking to, using those types of things and asking those types of questions and getting the same answer, you know, 3 times in a row maybe, and having that trifecta, having, you know, an EVP response, your REM pod went off, and maybe, you know, somebody saw a shadow. So having all those different types of things, you got your equipment manipulation, you have your, you know, your EVP on there giving you an actual response, and then you have a shadow. So, you know, each thing kind of backs each other up, and it really is harder to say, oh, well, that was just the trick of the eye, or maybe it's just pareidolia. So there's a lot of things to think about when you're doing stuff with intelligent spirits. Going off the topic a little bit, kind of people... Sorry. There's this guy on a motorcycle that passes by my house all the time. It drives me crazy. Anyways, I really wonder sometimes if some paranormal investigators use the residual term a little too loosely. You know, they go in, they don't get anything. Well, we think it's just residual. That's almost like going to a doctor and them just saying, well, we just think it's a virus. They don't really know because they haven't done any research to really back that up. It's just a good term to throw out there when you don't have enough information to give them anything else. So I really think that, you know, you go out and investigate, you need to do it more than once. Unless, of course, you do get an intelligent response. If you think maybe it's just residual, you need to have way more backing that up than just... well, we didn't really get anything, so maybe it's just a residual spirit in here, you know, maybe you aggravated it by this, or, you know, maybe it's just out here trying to get your attention, or, you know, whatever. it's just it's a tricky situation to me. Anybody have any questions? Any comments? Nope. I know there's a delay on here. But Chad, you'll have to let me know if it was David that built it or if it was somewhere else. And see, Sharon, I believe that too. I'm really of the mind that residual spirits are kind of like some living, that they just can't communicate. They don't realize that they're coexisting with somebody else. They can't or they won't. I mean, I know there are some spirits that you know they're intelligent, and every once in a while you kind of get a reaction out of them, but they don't want to talk to you. They just don't, they don't want to open that line of communication. And who knows why that is. I mean, they don't respond, you're never going to find out, but it could be they don't like you, they don't like your energy, they don't really like talking to people. Maybe that's just their lot. Maybe they have, you know, only specific things that they are able to do. Normally has to be something very traumatic, or it has to be an imprint that has a lot of energy associated with it. I agree. Yeah. I really feel like a residual isn't necessarily a spirit all the time. It could be a, kind of like us talking about mental manifestations or tulpas. Some of them could just be residual, having just the anger at the Chitlin Circuit building. There's a lot of anger in that building, and I feel like that's just a residual energy. But to me, over time, these kinds of things could build up to be a conscious energy. So they would seem like an intelligent spirit or haunting. You think that's true, Sharon? Yeah, definitely. Some Gettysburg Paranormal is residual because of the traumatic event. Or even like Antietam, places like Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, you know, hearing the screams, that could all just be residual. I hope my light bulb doesn't die, it's flickering. But yeah, there's lots of examples of residual, and we're kind of like getting off the intelligent topic. But I will kind of go over some of our cases. Like pretty much all of them have had intelligent responses in some way, shape, or form. I don't necessarily know that if things move in a location that it's definitely intelligent. I mean, because to me, if the spirit doesn't know that you're there and is just going through its motions, I mean, who's to say that it wouldn't move things? But in a lot of cases, you're going to find that they are intelligent. Like Trans-Allegheny, we had a door move at West Virginia Penitentiary. I'm not sure if this was intelligent or if it was residual, but we were in the infirmary area and we heard this really loud bang, which sounded like maybe a bed, one of the metal framed beds slamming against the floor. We had been asking questions about the guy that apparently rubbed his genitalia across the grate in the floor in one of those little cells. And we were like, why would you do that? We actually got an EVP right afterwards, and he said ripped it off. So it was a pretty funny response. And that was firmly an EVP back then. We didn't carry any, we didn't carry any spirit boxes or anything like that. I don't even think they were invented yet. That was back in 2008, so that may have been the year that they started making them. Let's see, what else? The Masonic Temple. I mean, we had so many intelligent spirits there. The first time we ever went, we had lots of communication with all of our equipment. Back then, we did use the K2s a lot. And yes, we had tested them a lot in that building. And there were times that we definitely noted that it would go off in very odd, you know, there was no EMF coming in anywhere around. There was Engine 1, the fire company, was right across the street, so I mean that could have influenced it, but it wasn't like it was a constant, or it wasn't all the time in those areas. So it was kind of strange to see that. But we did have communications where we would get the K2 meter to go off and we would get yes responses. I know one of the cases we had asked, because I talked about this in one of my previous lives, the first time we investigated, we had all these bad things happen leading up to our investigation, and then at the beginning of the investigation, and you know, we asked the questions throughout the night. We would have a K2 meter set up, we'd have the audio going, and we clearly got yes responses on the K2 and a yes EVP that went along with it. So to me, you know, just the K2 by itself, maybe, maybe not, but having both of those at the same time gave it a little bit more support. Let's see, what other places have we been that we've had definite intelligent responses? You know, I do talk, though a lot of people talk about the flashlight theory. I will go over that right now and tell you why we from time to time still continue to use it. Yes, it does have false positives. Every piece of equipment we use has false positives. And the more technical that you get... Okay, Sandy is asking, if you're alone in your house and hear someone call your name very plainly, would you say it's just a spirit trying to get your attention, especially if you recognize the voice? I would say it could be several things. One, the spirit is trying to get your attention, and it could be somebody that you do know that has passed. It could be somebody that is still living that is possibly coming across to you in some way. It could also be a spirit that is mimicking somebody and calling your name. So there's several different things that it could possibly be. You would just have to do some investigations to make sure that would be what it would be. I couldn't say right off, but those are the things that I would say are the possibility that I would conclude or try to conclude. But going back to the flashlight theory, so, you know, talking about equipment, pretty much everything that we have has false positives. But the more technical a piece of equipment, like the SLS or the REM pod, the more technical they are, the more there's the possibility that it's malfunction of the equipment, or that there's, you know, if you're not using these pieces of equipment in the proper way, of course it's going to give you a false positive in some way, shape, or form. A flashlight's not meant to be unscrewed like that in between. So yes, it does happen 100%. You're very welcome, Sandy. Hi, Bobby Sue. So, you know, we did not throw out that altogether. I use it every so often. It's the type of thing that you do. You set it up. If it doesn't seem to work, put it away. Just like any other equipment. You know, you sit down when you're doing EVP sessions and you start up your stuff. Sit down for 10 to 15 minutes and get a feel of the location. Really listen to the sounds. What can you hear? And tag it. That's a car going by. So that you know later on, that is the sound of what a car going by is going to sound like. Hi, Irene. You know, that's a refrigerator kicking on. You know later on that that's the refrigerator. And there's no question about what you're hearing later on during audio review. You know what's happening. But getting back to the topic, so all of our equipment has false positives, but audio even has false positives. So when people hear things that, you know, the whole Laurel Yanny thing, I heard Yammy. So people hear different frequencies. It's really about having a good collection of people that can review all of your information and give the best possible answer for the client. And if you want to use a piece of paper to try to get responses from a spirit, go for it. But I wouldn't use orbs. Unfortunately, that has definitely, I mean, I could smack my couch and get orbs. So unless you see it with the naked eye and it has its own light source, just move on. So the flashlight, we were at Trans-Allegheny in Ward T. And now I don't know if I've told this story before, but Trans-Allegheny is one of the near and dear places in our hearts. It's like home to us, and not because we're crazy. If you've ever been there, you would understand the feeling of the building. We were told that a lot of the guides had really good sessions on Ward T using the Maglite flashlights, and they were able to ask them in order, turning flashlights on based on color. And you know, we were very close with all the guides over there, and definitely I trusted their instincts. So a few of us went up there and we all had Maglites. So we had purple ones, we had red ones, we had black ones, silver, camouflage, blue. We had all different colors. I think we even had a pink one. And we lined them up down the hallway. I think it was like maybe every 5 to 10 feet. And each one was facing a different direction. So we would have red, blue, camo, silver. And we sat down at the one end of the hall, which led you back to the center of the building. And we started asking questions. At some point, we started asking it to turn it on in the color sequence, and I'm telling you, for an hour and 30 minutes we sat in there and had it consistently turn them on and then turn them off in random orders. We never did it the same way, always did it something different, and it was amazing. I mean, I could say, you know, just having one flashlight set up and it kind of randomly maybe answer your questions. But when you have 10 flashlights sitting in a hallway and they're consistently going on and off in an order that you're asking it to, it's a little bit, you can't really believe it, honestly. So a lot of other people may not believe it. I would say that it's not for everybody. And we didn't record it because those hallways are too daggone long for the IR that we had at that point. So there was no way that we could record. And it was an amazing thing. So this day and age, we just can't. We can't discount it, and we can't not use that piece of equipment simply because, you know, others have found that it is false positives. I agree. It has them. And if you think it's doing it, you need to ask questions that could give you that answer, whether it is a false positive or not, or whether you're really talking to a spirit. So you gotta set up a good protocol for any piece of equipment before you go out there and use it. Don't just take your equipment out and just plop it down and ask questions and expect, you know, spirits to just answer you, and you not have, you know, it's very chaotic. So just have a good protocol set up for whatever equipment it is. You know, Chad just said something about having an SLS. You know, test it out, see how it works, and then kind of create a protocol around that, knowing, okay, well, you really can't shine it at a wall, you can't shine it at a chair, or this and that. You know, you got to be conscious of what could possibly affect that IR field that is giving you the mapping ability. I believe so, Sarah. Sarah asks, are portals real? I definitely believe so. We've been to a couple places that just seem to have like Grand Central Station of spirits. Just, you know, it was never really the same ones. KOA is a really good example. That's why I've always said KOA is kind of a dangerous building to go into. Oh, okay, I will, Chad. Somewhere over the 4th, like, of July. Definitely. I will. I'll get that to you. Where was that at? Portals. KOA. Sorry. When I get lost out of track with my train of thought, I can't get it back. I derail permanently. KOA in Williamsport, Hagerstown, Antietam, KOA. The building there definitely has a revolving door of spirits. The little boy that came home with us, who was about 12, that's why he came home with us. He wasn't hooked to anything. He was just kind of randomly just, I guess, entering places willy-nilly. We had some Native American languages that we captured. Spanish, French, German, people with accents. Oh, it's not a problem, Chad. So, you know, it was actually an Indian burial ground right near there. So it just had a bit of a different vibe to it. But I definitely believe portals, and Sharon probably will chime in at some point. I know she believes that they're real too. I remember this one case we had. It was a private residence, and there was this guy there that he was pretty much a con artist. Kept trying to convince the client to do all these crazy things, and he told her that she had a portal in her dresser. Well, usually you're supposed to like push the spirits back in through the portal and then close it off. Well, she had all kinds of stuff going on in her house, and he closed this thing, and these spirits are just still there. Eric, I would recommend, Eric asks, what's the best way to prevent a spirit from following you home? Shielding. There's lots of techniques online, and it's all about visualization, kind of visualizing. And now Sharon says to use like a white light surrounding you. I like to use like, I'm in like a safe, you know, a great big old steel door comes down so nothing gets in or out. Shielding, definitely doing a little bit of advanced preparation before you investigate. Now, that doesn't really prepare you if you're just out. Say you're out somewhere just taking a tour of a private home, and, you know, all of a sudden you go home and you have some interesting things happening in your house. It's something you have to do every day, not just when you investigate, because if you end up finding out that you have some sort of abilities, it's going to affect you more than just on investigations. It's going to affect you everywhere you go and everything you do. So find some really good rituals to help you with that. Grounding, meditation, the shielding, wear some of the stones that help protect you. And here's another funny story. We went to a Samhain celebration many years ago, and one of our members suggested that we put salt in our pockets just in case the rituals brought some spirits in that might want to follow us home. So we all gladly put a pinch of salt in, and it was probably more than a pinch of salt, in our pockets, and merrily went on our way. We had a really great time. They had lots of, they had a singing bowl there, which made my husband shut up for like a half an hour, which, if you know Jeremy, wow, it was incredible. But anyways, so, you know, we went home from this, had no problems. We literally only wore our sweatshirts that night and hung them up. We didn't wash them. God knows why we didn't wash them. But we didn't wash them. We just kind of hung them up in the closet. And the next couple of investigations, we would take them with us and occasionally wear them. But again, we would take them home and hang them up. Once again, I don't know why we didn't wash them, because that still to this day kind of boggles my mind. Well, we didn't have any activity at known active places for several investigations because we had salt in our pockets. How weird is that? As soon as we washed those sweatshirts, and because we realized that we had salt in our pockets, as soon as we realized it, it was like everything kind of went back to normal. It was very strange. Sharon says, Sandy, black tourmaline and malachite. Now, if that was coincidence, maybe it's a coincidence. Anymore, I don't believe in coincidences because too many things seem to line up. Yes. It is weird though, Sharon. It was very, it was funny. You're welcome, Eric. Let me see. Sorry. But yes, try to create rituals for yourself day in, day out, especially on investigations. And I always tell the spirits, when I leave, after us taking home Michael, the young boy, I always tell him, you have to stay here. You can't come home with me. It seems to work okay. But according to Sharon, I'm kind of like a beacon. They come to me anyway, so I don't really need to. If I'm on, they just kind of come to me. Anybody have any other questions? I've only been at this for 35 minutes, but again, I like intelligent spirits because they help us with our research. And obviously, so does most of the other paranormal community, others in the paranormal community, because everybody carries all this equipment. If there were that many residual spirits, we wouldn't get as many responses as we do. So, I definitely feel intelligent spirits are way more common than residual. Which some people may not agree with me, but that's how I feel. I've been investigating for 10 years. Going on 11, and I've done hundreds of investigations at many different types of places. I've been to private residences, I've been to mental asylums, prisons, businesses, secret societies, so we kind of run everything. Oh, we've even been to a former hotel that is now more of a, it's more of a halfway house kind of thing. It's a rent by night kind of place. So, you know, we've been around all different types of spirits and people in life. Hi, Diane. What do portals look like? I believe I might have seen one. I'm not sure. You know, to me, like, going the science fiction route, I would think it'd look like wavy almost. But I don't know. I haven't seen one. If anybody has seen a portal or has an idea of what people think portals look like, that's a great question, Sarah. I'm not entirely certain. No, Sandy. Michael never bothered me. He was mischievous, so he liked to do things to kind of, wow, I was right, Sharon. He was mischievous, like I said, so every once in a while we could hear him walking around. We saw him. He would move things. I think I was the only one that he ever touched. Could just be because I was the mom. I don't know. But he was only around our house between, I would say, October and February. It was always the winter months, and definitely mostly in December. I think he liked the holidays. We did EVP sessions, and God, it's been so long, Bobby Sue. I know we got the name Michael. I think it was the spirit box. And he was about 12 years old. Or so he told us. He was about, I would say, like between 4 and 5 feet tall. And we always saw him as a darker shadow. But he was, he just liked to aggravate me. He was never mean or anything like that. And I was okay with him being there. If he had followed us to our new house where we live now, I'd been okay with it, because he was pretty cool. Normally it's more of a feeling, like a portal. It's more of a feeling. You know, it's funny about the wavy thing. People were talking about seeing like energy on people, kind of like auras. And I don't see it all the time, but I do see auras, and when I do see people's energy, it can be wavy. It's very strange to see, you know how when you see on a hot day, the, that mirage, that shimmery look right above the road, the hot road, it kind of looks like that coming off of them. Anybody else have any questions? We still have about 20 minutes. Yeah, he was definitely lost. You know, at that point we couldn't move it. I know, Sharon, and I want to go. I want to come to your aura class. When was that? Because I want to say I was busy. Did you just have one? You know, it's one thing to have an ability, but it's another to develop it and to really know what's going on and learning how to control it and just being healthy about your own energy, having all those abilities. Because my kids, now I know a lot of people could probably read their kids' minds, but mine say it's very eerie, that I know exactly what they're thinking. And it was supposed to be Sunday, but Adam's health, I had to postpone it. Well, let me know when the next one is. Maybe I can come. You know, taking care of yourself. And Sharon tells me all the time that you got to make sure that after you've connected with somebody that you cut that cord, because then you have a channel with that person all the time. And if all of a sudden, like my best friend, I constantly have a cord with her. I can tell when she's sad. I can tell when she's upset. And I can usually call her and say, hey, what's wrong with you? And she's like, dude, that's weird. But kind of going into the spirit thing, you know, we talked about this. Here's a little kind of off the intelligent spirit, but, you know, kind of still the same thing. We talk about these Facebook Lives and doing investigations on Facebook Live. We know that people can look at pictures and they can see things just by, you know, viewing something, viewing a location. So we wonder at the dangers of people watching Facebook Lives in these places that the spirits maybe aren't connected to, can freely move from one place to another. If for some reason somebody who thinks they have a mediumship ability and connects to these spirits through this Facebook Live, and doesn't really know how to cut that cord or how to be healthy and safe with their ability, what are the chances that that spirit could actually kind of, you know, invade their space? So these are the questions that we have to ask, and we know it's possible that I've heard of other groups that say they went to a location, it was very negative, and they did the investigation, went home, and all of them, every single one of them, had stuff happen in their homes. Until they freed themselves and did cleansings on themselves. They had this activity in all of their homes. So while they were there in the location, we know that it's possible, if you connect with something, that it could possibly connect with you in your own space. So what's stopping them if they're not connected to a location or an item that they couldn't end up in your home? So that's why we all worry possibly about these Facebook Lives. We don't do a lot of them on location because honestly, we're about the research. And to us, it's, if you want to be part of a paranormal investigation, join the group. We have so much fun. We're very active. I know right now we're trying to find a equipment tech. So you got some technological experience? Submit an application. I know probably soon I'll be doing some other things. I would like to have someone else kind of helping out with historical research. So, but I would say going forward, our team is probably going to want people that actually have some experience in these different types of positions in our group. Yes, it can be very dangerous. Oh, you like watching the lives? Yeah. Well, I mean, Sandy, it's all about, if you're watching it and you don't really connect with anything, we see a lot of people, playing the psychic medium in the feeds and talking about, well, there's a little girl or there's a man, and, you just don't really know what you're dealing with, and if the team that's involved with it hasn't really given you a good enough, warning about what is happening in the location, that's dangerous, especially if it's demonic. Who in the world No. Just no. Don't do that. Back to that, you know, we don't exploit our locations for follows or views. We just want to give information to people so that they know our standpoint on the paranormal and how we approach things. But I'd just be careful, Sandy, about some of these teams. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are using it for their stepping stone to be famous. Oh, wow, Jeannie. She said she had her kitchen gutted in this old house for remodeling. They shook the house, ripping it out, and she had some great activity that night. Well, what kind of activity did you have? That's interesting. I mean, it's amazing. You know, we just had our wall unit air conditioner removed and put back in, and we have a couple spirits in here that they don't really communicate, but we know they're there. We have a woman upstairs and a man on this side of the house. There's also a man in here, but he's not with the house. There's a child that likes to run back and forth out between here and my sunroom to the front door. There's a young boy supposedly outside that hangs out at the back of the property. I don't know that that's associated with our property, but I wondered if we did that stuff, because we rent. I wondered if we might have some things happen, but no. Our air conditioning unit was historical. It was made in 1970, which is crazy. You have to let me know, Jeannie. What kind of activity did you have? That's interesting. Did it seem like it was intelligent, or was it just a residual energy that was disturbed and all that? But back to the intelligent spirits. They flipped your dresser knob. Well, that's interesting. You know, I have one of those dressers that has the handles that kind of, you know, they clank, they're metal. You can flip them up. I've had that happen before. My son's playing games, so if you hear somebody talking, he's up there yelling at his game. I'm going to think of some more of the examples of things that we've had. Recently, we did an investigation at the warehouse. This is one that I haven't shared with anybody. We were in the basement, and we encountered a spirit that had never been there before. And, you know, we had Sharon with us, who's our psychic medium, and she even felt that he was like kind of a traveler. He was lost, didn't really know where he was at. He was confused. Oh, wow. The man that built the kitchen that was tore out died there. Well, he's interested to know what you're doing to his kitchen. So, you know, we're down in the basement and we're asking this guy questions, and Sharon said he's very sad. So Sharon decided that she was going to move the spirit on because we'd never encountered him before. And he just really, I don't know, he just didn't have the energy. He just needed to move on. So anyway, Sharon, she did her thing and moved the spirit on, and she almost immediately, she said, something else is coming. So she sat down and she was like, she didn't have a good feeling about it. She said that her bringing the light and sending this guy off on his way had kind of given a beacon to other stuff. So she said, will you tell the other team that's up at the DVR to come downstairs? So I call them and I'm like, hey guys, what are you doing? Can you come down here? And Chris tells me, we're trying to figure out what this noise is. It sounds like something is walking around on the roof. Now, if you ever see this building, it's not easy to get to the roof. And they said it sounded like a person walking on the roof. So that immediately, Sharon was like, I don't know what this is and I don't know what's going on, but they need to get down here so that we're all together. Nothing else happened really after that too much, but it was very, very interesting how she was like, something's coming. And they started hearing sounds on the roof of the building. These are the kinds of crazy things that we have happen when we investigate. What that was, I don't know. She didn't feel like it was, yeah, you still get goosebumps. She doesn't feel like it was something that was ever human. But our most recent residential case, we had some interesting stuff happen there too. We actually had something knocking or tapping on the floor with a distinct pattern. It was very, very interesting, and we captured it on the audio. So we've listened to that a million times, and even the client was very excited. I just did some of the audio, and we got some good EVPs going on from there, so I can't wait to share that stuff with them. Anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts, topics? We got about 10 minutes left. I know next week I was thinking about, a lot of people are asking the questions about hazards and safety concerns. It was almost like shaving a haircut, Bobby Sue. You know, the knock, 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 knock kind of thing. Yeah. It wasn't SOS. It was definitely musical pattern. But yeah, I was thinking about doing safety and hazard concerns of paranormal investigation. Talking about protection, just like we just did. Maybe if I could possibly figure out how to get somebody else on this thing, I'll get Sharon on here with me. That'll be really funny. Sharon and I together are absolutely hysterical. Especially when we're going up a really, really tall mountain. Don't ever put the two people that are afraid of heights in a car on a really tall mountain. Because Sharon's going to be like, oh my God, do you see how far down there that is? No, Sharon, stop talking about it. Could that tapping have sounded like Morse code? No, I don't think so. It was definitely, it really sounded like shaving a haircut. Crazy mountain. Ugh. Yeah, I don't want to do that again anytime soon. So, I mean, if you have topic ideas or suggestions or any questions about this one, now's your time. Feel free to share this video. The more people that see it, the more exposure our page gets. Like it also. It's really our page, you know, Facebook talking about trying to have more exposure for personal profiles is obvious. There are times, I mean, we have over 10,000 followers on our page, and there are times that our posts are only seen 32 times. That is just beyond bonkers. Facebook needs to go back to where you see stuff in order and the time that it's actually posted, because this algorithm is just not working. It's not working at all. So if you could, go to our page and click on See First. As long as we've posted within a certain time frame of you opening Facebook, you'll see our post right at the top. And you refresh, you'll see somebody else's that you have See First. It does work. It does work really great. So yeah, next week that would be good. We'll do, and not just like spiritual. I mean, paranormal investigation can affect you emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So there are lots of things to think about. Not just like, will a spirit follow me home, but will I fall in a hole or hit my head on something? There are things to think about before you go. It's almost like camping. You know, you got to have certain things with you when you go camping, or it just isn't successful. So, and it's more than just taking your equipment and your flashlight. It's taking maybe a roll of toilet paper and some bug spray. So, you know, you got to be prepared for any eventuality. I know one of the locations that we do frequently doesn't have toilet paper and doesn't have the greatest facility. So, you know, we have to make sure somebody brings that. doesn't have hand soap, paper towels. So you got to make sure you bring all that stuff with you. But I think I might go ahead and end this. Again, if you have questions or comments, feel free to post them here. But again, I don't always see them. I don't know why. The last 2 times I've done lives, people have posted something and I cannot see it. I've tried every way imaginable and I cannot see it. I've even tried it on my computer. I don't understand, unless the person's deleting them. And it's not always the same person, but both times somebody's commented and I can't see it. I just don't even get it. But private message me. I will respond to you. Send me topic ideas. You can send me things that you just want me to talk about, questions that you have, or any comments that you might have on this particular live session. But once again, feel free to share and click on the like button. And I guess we'll see you next week. Once again, I am Rebecca Boyer. I am the co-founder and case manager of Antietam Paranormal Society. And it's been a great night. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.